the depths of imagination comes terror like no other. From experiments gone wrong, things crawling from atomic wastes, alien behemoths, prehistoric titans. Nowhere is safe when they strike without warning. Can nothing stop these forces of destruction? Science, weapons, love. You'll just have to see it to believe it. Scream, run, hide if you must. Nothing can survive the Monster Zone.
Do you like big things? I like big things. Do you like big monsters? That's my second favorite thing. Welcome to the Monster Zone.
Hello, everyone. I'm ill today, so sorry about that. Today, we're doing more Monster Zone goodness. We're joined by our wonderful co-host, Mr. Parker, the anchor, the man that makes it happen, beautiful wife, Angela, and then me, the disease.
You just don't even have a name.
I don't remember. Fuck, I don't remember when this movie came out. Was it 56, 58? 58, I think.
1956.
Thank you.
Okay.
Today, we are covering the 1956 classic cowboy versus dinosaur movie, The Beast from Hollow Mountain.
Hold it! Looks like there's been a big struggle around here. Cattle tracks go all directions. See?
No one has dared to come this far. Let's turn back.
You're too superstitious, Benoit. You're afraid of your own shadow.
Not my shadow, senor. It's the shadow of that cursed mountain.
Here is high adventure, and in the glorious and colorful Southwest. Starring Guy Madison as the courageous rancher who tried to solve the secret of Hollow Mountain, hiding place of a monster spawned in the dawn of time. He dared to ride where no man had ever set foot before. Patricia Medina, the menace of the beast, stood between her and the man she loved.
I'm getting married tomorrow. I do not want to be a widow or the wife of a murderer on my wedding.
And boy, was I disappointed the first time I saw this as a kid. But let's see if that holds up after a very long time, almost 30 years. So Parker, do you want to give us some delicious background on this delicious cowboy movie with delicious cowboys in it?
I would love to, Dan. Thank you for having me do this. So The Beast of Hollow Mountain was released in August of 1956. It was an idea that was brought on by Willis O'Brien. It was a kind of a concept that would later turn into a film called The Valley of Gwangi, which would be done by Ray Harryhausen. So Willis O'Brien is kind of credited as the writer of this movie, even though I don't think he actually wrote the movie.
I think
he was
credited as
but he was credited under a different name, which is wild. It was like El Toro Estrella.
What?
Yeah. This was directed by Edward Nasser and Ishmael Rodriguez. Edward Nasser and his brother William were producers. And a pretty tragic ending to Edward Nasser's life, as he didn't have a very good end of his days, as he was pretty ill towards the end and ended up taking his own life in the early 60s.
It's unfortunate.
But yeah, this is I mean, other than the fact that it was kind of a Willis O'Brien idea, it kind of disappeared into the ethos once the Valley of Gwangi came out, and I think it was the Valley of the Mists, which was O'Brien's original idea, which then turned into the Valley of Gwangi. So yeah, but not too much about this movie other than the fact that it kind of became more aware for people when MST3K covered it in their revival era back in 2017 when it came out on Netflix. It does there is an episode on Netflix covering this movie, which I'm kind of disappointed because usually if there's a MST3K version of a movie we cover, I usually watch it, and I did not know that this was on Netflix, and I just watched the original version.
Yeah, I wonder if it was less like it wasn't as easy to find the MST3K version because it's not the old ones.
Yeah,
it didn't like punch it in; it's just there. I don't know.
As for the cast, we had Guy Madison as our main character, Jimmy. We had Patricia Medina as Sarita. We have Carlos Rivas as Felipe Sanchez. Eduardo Noriega as Enrique. Julio Villarreal as Don Pedro. Mario Navarro as Panchito. Pascual Garcia Pena as Pancho. And Lupe Corrales as Margarita.
We have 2 returning people in this movie that we've covered.
Do we?
On the show. Yeah. Carlos Rivieras was the doc, the sidekick in the Black Scorpion.
Oh.
So he was the one that was worried about killing the monsters while the other dude was trying to take the lady out to dinner all the time.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure the kid that played Panchito was the annoying little kid in 20 Million Miles to Earth. Don't hold me to that, but I think
I'm going to click on his name.
Yeah, he was also in Black Scorpion. So
he was in Black Scorpion. And no, he was not in Million Miles.
Okay, so getting kids mixed up, but at least he was in Black Scorpion as well. So,
but yeah, there's no financials for this movie. It has a 79-minute runtime, and it was based primarily in the U.S. and in Mexico.
There's a lot of collaborations like that with filmmaking. Like again,
yes,
the Black Scorpion we've covered before. Yeah.
So yeah, there's your minimal info on this movie.
So obviously, Parker, we know your answer, but none of you have ever had any experience with this movie before.
No.
You said you thought we've watched it.
I thought, but
I think you got it mixed up with Gwangi.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna spoil it now. Gwangi's a way better fucking movie. Just heads up. Like there's 2 cowboy dinosaur movies that I know of, and Gwangi's the better of the 2. I don't know why there's not more of this. This seems
when
like
you got Ray Harryhausen involved, usually that'll give you the edge.
Yeah, but
because here's the thing: is if Willis O'Brien had done this movie, I feel like it would have been more memorable. But it ended up being given to effects artists Jack Rabin, Henry Sharp, and Louis DeWitt, which I don't know who they worked for. I don't know if they worked for different studios or what it was, but yeah, this was supposed to be O'Brien's film, but he ended up not doing it. So
no, which I understand. I think it was also I don't know, maybe there was some writing issue, which we'll get into when we talk about in the fucking movie. But yeah, I wish this genre was explored more. I love cowboy stuff, and like, why wouldn't you want more dinosaurs? I mean, I know we got Cowboys versus Aliens, not the same thing. Thank you, Daniel Craig. But it is what it is. So we'll start out with wonderful shots of, I guess this is Mexico. Like it's supposed to be Mexico, but I mean, are swamps prolific in Mexico? Because there's a lot of talk of swamps around this mountain.
I mean, the thing is like once they branch out from that mountain, there's a lot of desert. So I guess Mexico probably has swamps. I mean, I
would assume so, somewhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't specifically say. I imagine it's not too far from the border. Probably northern-ish Mexico, maybe. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a similar location to Black Scorpion, which was actually, we did another Mexican. There was a little bit of a Mexico-U.S. collaboration with War of the Colossal Beast, where they stole the dude's bread trucks. He kept with the drugged bread. Anywho, so essentially, we meet our main characters as Jimmy and then his sidekick Felipe, which is I can't remember the actors' names, but you talked
Carlos
about it.
Rivas.
Carlos Rivas, and then Guy Madison. And Guy Madison's, I know, was in a lot of westerns.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of westerns. And essentially, we learned about the Hollow Mountain, which is believed to be a cursed mountain by locals. It's a mountain surrounded by swamps. And this is the line I've said. I've actually said it on the show. Even in reality, this is the only line from this movie I always remember was you're just superstitious. You're scared of your own shadow. It's like, not my shadow, senor. It's the shadow of that cursed mountain. Like, I always remember that fucking line from this movie, and I don't know why. But that's where that happens. And he's trying to find his lost cattle. It's Jimmy and Felipe are running cattle in this part of the county. They bought some land, and they're trying to make a profit selling cows in Mexico. And they find one of the steer. It looks like it got ran into the swamp and got stuck there. And like, well, someone's trying to make our life a living hell, running off our cattle, killing them, making it look like something else happened, right? Somebody's trying to, what they feel is, manipulate what's going on here. I don't remember his name. We go back and now I'm going to jump around a little bit in this because we watched it a few days ago, and I'm trying to remember everything. But he goes and visits Don Pedro. Yeah, and I don't remember the name of the town.
I don't remember it either. I don't think
did they say it?
I don't even think we ever hear a name.
Okay. Well, he goes and visits Don Pedro, which is like the mayor of this town, it seems, or like some high member of society in this town. And there's like these evil firecracker kids, which they keep showing up like 5 or 6 times. Like, I don't understand it. Like somebody
your note looks like it says 5 crack kids.
Yeah, fire crack. Whatever.
Crack kids.
Crack kids. I'm laughing at it because I'm like trying to read his notes, and I was like, "What?"
Well, he's going to town to meet with Don Pedro. He hasn't met with Don Pedro yet. But anyway, so the crack kids show up. And they keep jumping, like they go by this opening in this wall, and like these kids just run out and start throwing firecrackers and shit when people go by. And like, are you just trying to kill someone? And they vanish, and then they come back, and then they vanish, and then we meet this drunk dude, which is was it Pancho? Pancho, drunkard, and his little kid Panchito, and he dreams his blues away because his wife
died.
Yep. Yeah, and Panchito's trying to get him to stop, do the right thing, but he's a drunkard. He's trying to get him to hold down a good job. Now, does this happen before? I think this is before he actually goes and meets with Don Pedro. The firecracker kids try to murder Pancho, where they throw firecrackers on him, and he gets dragged by his horse.
That's right. And then and Jimmy has to ride up and save
the day. Yeah, like I was like, these kids are just trying to murder this dude. I said, these kids with firecrackers are going to kill someone.
Yeah, because I think this is when Jimmy meets Sarita.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think he already knew of her, but yeah,
she's like, "Hello, Jimmy.
Yes,
thank you for saving Pancho. They work for us."
I know, right? And then Jimmy goes and meets Don Pedro, and this is where they're talking about, selling cattle and all this shit and his land and whatnot, and people don't like him being there. Enrico, our villain of the story, shows up, and he really doesn't like Jimmy being there. This dude's a fucking asshole, dude.
This fucking guy.
It's a stick so far up his ass, I swear. Essentially, trying to say Jimmy is selling his cattle higher than other people around there, or lower than other people around there to make more money. But Jimmy's just selling them at market value. And essentially, Enrique is an asshole trying to get rid of him. And that's who Jimmy thinks is trying to run him out.
Right.
Because he's an American. He doesn't belong there. So, whatever. Jimmy, after all the stuff, goes back to his hand. I don't think her name was Margarita. I wrote that her name down wrong. That's somebody else. Yeah. No, that's somebody else. It's Sarita. Margarita's not. I was getting her name mixed up. He goes back to his ranch and finds out his ranch hand's left.
Yep.
They're like, hey, we don't curse, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to work.
Yeah, we're not going near that mountain. Right.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere near that mountain, sir.
Is that say more cows mooing? Oh, more cows missing. Sorry.
More cows mooing. They could be missing. They could be mooing. Cows do that usually. Jimmy does end up Pancho and Panchito are there because before Jimmy winched earlier, Jimmy saved his life, and Pancho is trying essentially get work from him and offers to hire him. And he does start working for him, like holding down a job. And Sarita shows up and thinks that Jimmy poached him from her, and but it was actually Pancho that approached him for work.
Right.
So anyway, big confrontation there, and it kind of all boils out. And Doesn't matter. Jimmy goes into town and gets in a fight with Enrique because Enrique thinks Sarita is having an affair.
Yep,
with,
he's making the moves on his girl.
Yeah, because they're due to be married in like just not long, a couple days, I think.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
Yes.
she literally was like, "I'm getting married to Enrique in a couple days," and it was like, he's and to be honest, Jimmy has like really no interest in her in that way because he knows like,
Yeah, he's trying to play it cool.
yeah,
He's like, just let me do my cattle. And like eventually he starts, getting involved with her, but
Yeah.
more romantic because she's like pushing it.
Also, the fact that after Enrique sees them together, just talking, he goes down there and they have this huge fight.
Yes,
Like breaking people's like store fronts and like all this stuff over a misunderstanding. And then I think that's when Jimmy's like, you know what, fuck this guy. I am gonna try to get this girl.
and like I like that because he knocks away Enrique's weapon or tells him to throw it away, and then he puts it down, and they just like fucking fisticuffs. And there's this big ring of people watching. It's like a schoolyard fight, dude. It's fantastic, but it's a good little brawl.
They make a mess though.
And essentially, after all that, Enrique says he wants to buy. Well, Don Pedro tells Jimmy that Enrique wants to buy his farm. He wants to just buy him out because he doesn't want him here. He said nobody wants him here, and he starts manipulating stuff to where, which I'll get into it, to kind of make Jimmy's life a living hell. Jimmy and Felipe's life a living hell while they're there. But more cows end up missing. Jimmy's trying to get supplies to just make it to the end of being able to sell his cattle. Like, I just want to sell my cows and just be done with this. He can't, nobody will sell him anything. The banks won't loan him any money because Enrique is a big wig in the town. So he's kind of like manipulating shit that won't let him, like, don't sell this guy anything or I won't do business with you or some shit.
He knows big people too.
Well, I mean, it's not a big town. So, I mean, that's how it works sometimes. It's all about the people you know.
Just want to remind everybody, this is a monster movie, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, we haven't heard, seen, suggested the appearance of a monster yet. Not yet.
It's literally just that mountain. No good.
Yeah,
that's it. That's about it.
That's a cursed mountain, bro. And the missing cattle. That is somewhat of our link.
Yep.
Poncho offers to go out and find the cows. Find these missing cows in the swamp around Hollow Mountain. Of course, Jimmy doesn't want him doing it. It's like, don't, it's dangerous. There's quicksand all over that place, which is a huge trope. Mind you, Felipe fell in quicksand at the beginning of the movie. I didn't mention that. It's one of those payoff things you'll get later.
He certainly got pulled out real fast, though.
He did, but quicksand's a big trope in movie. You don't really get it much anymore, but it used to be in like action adventure films, cowboy shows. Quicksand was always fucking there. And against his discretion, or Poncho, against Jimmy's word, Poncho goes to the mountain anyway and tells his kid, hey, when the sun hits this stone, if I'm not back, go tell Jimmy. So he wanders off into the marshes to go find these cattle by himself. It's not a good idea.
No.
Right?
No.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Jimmy gets a letter from Sarita to meet him in the cemetery so they can like converse or whatever. And he goes to there and they have a conversation. She essentially says that she wants him to leave. Like, she likes him, but it's just not worth it. That he just wants her to go. And he's all tore up about it and all this stuff. And he essentially tells Felipe, he's like, listen, I'm just going to sell the shit, sell the stuff, and this is yours. I'm just going to go back to the States. So we'll split the money. You can keep the farm. I'm out. Of course, Felipe doesn't want to do that. He wants to like kill Enrique. And he's like, nah, don't cause yourself any more problems. Just let me go. Just let's get out of here. I'm going to sell the cows and go. Anyhow, then this is when we get our first indication of the dinosaur, literally at the 45-minute mark, that you see a shadowy figure attack. Well, you see some stiff.
You see you see the rubber legs.
Yep.
And then Poncho.
These are thicker than chicken legs.
Well,
It
I mean, it's a
somebody's
large chicken.
It looks like somebody put on some rubber boots and painted
It
toes.
100% looks like that, dude.
100%.
Yeah, it like somebody was on like stilts and like this. What? Anyway, so you see that, and then you just see legs, like the bottom of legs, and then like a shadow. And I'm pretty sure Poncho gets a few shots off before he gets killed.
Yeah, I think he just empties that thing. Just
dies. And then cut.
Yep.
So there's our first indication that this is not just a cowboy love story with cattle rustlers.
Yeah, but it
It's
just took us
actually
45 minutes to get there, everybody.
Yes, exactly 45. And then I put my notes. Well, he was gonna leave because he was getting ready to leave, telling Felipe he's out of here, and Panchito shows up and tells him that his dad wandered off. And
my papa.
Yep, Jimmy and Felipe
find him.
So Jimmy and Felipe go to find Pancho. They don't. They just find his hat. And you pointed this out about his hat. They don't even take the hat back to him.
They said no, because they want to pretend like they don't know that they didn't find it. So literally, Jimmy just hucks it deeper into the woods.
I know. He's like, fuck it, don't tell him right now. And this, whatever. So they come out. Panchito's devastated. Like, you find my papa? And he's like, no, dude. Like, he's just, I don't know. We can't find him. We just found like a trail of tequila, and that's it.
But
We lost the track.
Felipe and his little undertone comments. Like, he kept saying something about not yet, or did you find him? And he, or he's like somewhat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Felipe, just tell him.
Yeah, just let this boy off the hook, please. This poor fucking kid. His dad's a drunkard. He finally got a decent job.
Like literally in the beginning, when you first meet Pancho and Panchito's just sitting outside the bar, and Pancho comes out drunker than a skunk. And he's talking to Panchito, and he's like, yeah, I have to do this because I'm so depressed about your mother. I think I need to go back inside and be sad about her even more. And I was like, oh my God.
And Panchito's just come home.
It's like, no, Dad. Papa, we gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a fine dynamic. He cares about his dad. His dad's kind of irresponsible, and he's trying to get him on the right track. And his dad was going on the right track, and he was just trying to do good by Jimmy. And the dude gets fucking snuffed out by a dinosaur, and it kind of sucks because he was on the rebound, man. He was going to make it happen. Well, Jimmy's going to hit the old dusty trail. That's what I put on the notes. He's going to go with the cattle to the trains and then ride them to the selling station, and then from there back to the States. But
Enrique has another plan.
Yes. Enrique, well, we didn't mention this earlier, but Jimmy does get a few extra ranch hands, which were people Enrique hired to go work for him to sabotage what's going on. And I'm surprised they waited this long to do it.
Yeah.
But I guess they wanted to get really undercover, really get in his trust.
Wasn't it just to weren't they pretty much going to steal his cattle? Ultimately combine his cattle in with Enrique's?
Actually, that's what one of them suggested. One of the guys suggested. Enrique is like, no, only my cattle will be sold. They were going to cause a stampede away from town to run them off into the wilderness. Right. So only his cattle, and then they wouldn't get anything because Enrique is a vindictive piece of shit. So the two fucking guys he's got there with him want to do the stampede now. And they're like, well, don't do that because it could run into town. It could kill somebody or destroy something. Well, while they're doing this, the dinosaur shows up. Before they get a chance to leave and, run the cattle off, the dinosaur shows up, and we actually get to see it. It's like an Allosaurus. I think it's right at the 59-minute mark. There's almost an hour into
There's only 15 minutes left of this movie.
Yeah, not getting credits. There's literally 15 minutes left.
Yep.
People bitch about Jaws not seeing the shark. You got nothing in this fucking movie, dude.
This movie, the thing is watching this movie, if you got rid of the whole dinosaur thing, it's still an okay movie. It's a cowboy drama. It's a fucking soap opera. It's there is a movie there, but then when the dinosaur shows up, it turns into a completely different movie. It's not even coherent. It doesn't even blend well together. It's there's this rift between these two men. It's the love triangle, blah blah blah, and all this shit. And it's oh yeah, there's a fucking dinosaur, and you're like, what?
Like we talked about before, around this time, cowboy movies were really popular in the 40s and 50s, and I guess they're let's just make a cowboy movie. It's we need to put a dinosaur in it. Let's just put it in at the end. It's fine.
You're okay, sure.
Yeah, but what? So they get the dinosaur. I'm assuming it doesn't eat these guys because they run and then they get killed when the cow stampede. They just get ran the fuck down, dude. It was that low angle shot with the cows.
They're just
Yep.
literally we get that shot.
Yep, we get that. I was hoping, that I have that in here. I was hoping that one of them was going to get eaten, but no luck for the dinosaur. Remind you, the dinosaur, you see a little bit more later, has a lizard tongue.
Yes.
So
a lot of dinosaurs in movies back then, they gave them really the forked tongue. Because even if you think about it, even just like talk about like Jurassic Park, the original stop motion raptors that were made, if you watch like the test footage of like the kitchen scene, the raptors have a forked tongue. So like that's only like 30 years ago. So the fact that like it's, and I think stayed that way for a while.
Yeah, Jack Horner, I think, had something to do with that correction.
Yeah,
they didn't do that.
I love him.
I know, right? So, Panchito. So at some point, like Panchito's been moping around this whole time, trying to run away and find his dad, which I get. It's his only family he's got left. One of the caretakers, Margarita, like just flat out tells him, like, your dad's dead.
Yeah,
like
I know she was
toughen the fuck up. Like your dad is dead, dude.
There was no sympathy there.
No. She's just done with his shit. Like she's trying to plan a wedding. She has all help plan a wedding. She's got all this shit, or get the wedding together. And she's got all this shit going on. This is the day of the wedding, and she's just done with it. And everybody else.
But then she's surprised that he runs away. Like he runs away. She's like, "Oh no, Pedro, he ran away. I don't know what to do. Like I don't understand why." It's like you just told him his dad died. Like what are you talking about?
And of course, reacting as Panchito would in this situation, he steals a horse and rides off to the swamp.
Oh, he rides like a champ too. He's just like fucking swings on that back, and he's gone. This kid's like 3.5 feet tall.
I wonder if this kid really knows how to ride a horse this well.
I guarantee he probably did. Yeah,
that's fucking cool. Like this kid was dedicated, dude. He finally got that cowboy hat.
Well, I'm assuming since his dad has worked around
horses and
cows for so long that he's grown up doing this.
His dad probably showed him how to ride.
Yeah.
She after all this goes on and all the things start stampeding, and of course we mentioned that Panchito runs off. Sarita is just like starting to get she was in her dress and stuff, starting to get ready, and then like Margarita comes to tell her that Panchito run back, and nope, she's just in her regular riding gear. She just cannot be bothered with being married.
Well, yeah, she knows. She's like, I need to talk to Jimmy.
Yeah,
I can't
do
this.
She really wants that. She really wants that American beef, dude. Like real bad. No, and honestly, the whole thing with her and Enrique was a kind of almost like an arranged thing.
Pretty much.
It wasn't like really out of like
it's a whole power
love.
thing.
Yeah.
Isn't the mayor her dad or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I think Don Pedro's her dad, and like it was his family's of significance, and they've been friends forever, grew up together or something. It was just kind of one of those, it's just going to happen kind of deals.
Yep.
This is actually where the stampede actually happens. I said stampede, lizard tongue, and sped up cow footage. Because sometimes they're not running, it's just them walking, and they just speed the footage up of them going.
Great.
I love when they do that.
Running of the bulls is the next thing. Of course, because they were stampeded at the wrong time, they run through the town. There's people running out of the way and shit like that.
Yep.
Then Jimmy ends up getting his stuff together. Well, sorry, Sarita goes off after Panchito. Jimmy shows up. Jimmy goes on after Margarita. Or not Margarita. I almost said it wrong. Sorry, Sarita and Panchito. Panchito gets chased by the dinosaur. Then Sarita shows up and she gets chased by the dinosaur and ends up going inside of, I think it's Panchito's house.
Yes. Oh, it was that shack that was in like the middle of nowhere. Like it was just
that's
the middle of this huge field.
Yeah, that's the one they talked about.
I think it's probably Pancho and Panchito's house.
Well, I know they said somebody lived there at one point on the edge of the swamp, and they just vanished one day and never came back. And I think that was supposed to be another breadcrumb that they did a really poor job of arranging. Jimmy rolls up, just starts shooting the dinosaur right in the schnoz. Just boop. The dinosaur chases him. There's a lot of chasing. There's this like big cat and mouse thing going on. Like somebody's chasing somebody else, and this changed anyway. I noticed so the way the dinosaur moves is obviously stop motion, and it goes from sometimes passable, sometimes it doesn't look too bad, and then other times it's really jarring. Like you'll see like some up close shots where it's moving, and you could tell they're not doing enough frames because it's really jerky. But then when it's like it's a panned out shot of it running around that house, it actually looks like it's moving fairly smooth. Even though
it definitely wasn't very fluid like we've been used to with a lot of these other monster movies that have used this type of effect, especially if it's a Harryhausen or a Willis O'Brien picture. You could see just kind of the difference. It was weird. To be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of the design of the dinosaur. Like it
moved
just
weird too.
He looked like Play-Doh. He just looked.
Yeah.
The features were just very basic, and
good.
Yeah. No, it just wasn't. It didn't catch my eye very well. I wasn't like invested in it. Like I was like, oh damn, that thing looks cool. I want it to cause some destruction. No, it was just generic.
It tears up a roof and steals someone's stick and breaks it. I mean, that's about the most destruction it causes this whole movie.
Pretty much.
I don't want to shit on it because I think for what they had, and I'm sure obviously this was a lower budget movie without having Guy Madison or even with having Guy Madison in it. I thought, like I said, for them not being the big Willis O'Brien, Ray Harryhausen, I thought they did an okay job with some of the dinosaur, but the way he moves kind of reminded me of an ostrich when he runs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But like odd, like it doesn't look right, but whatever. There was a weird film error. Did you watch that link that I sent you to watch this?
Yeah.
So around this time when the dinosaur's chasing Jimmy, it's like there's a splice in the film when they were editing it, and there's like a discolored portion of the film that kind of overlaps oddly, and then it's like a split second. You can barely see it, but it's right toward the end of the movie. And I was like, well, that's odd. I don't know if that was from the tape.
It's odd, but also, it could have been could have been the tape transferred VHS or whatever, but also it could have just been the fact that just like when they were editing this movie, it was just like, oh, we can't go back and fix that. It's just got to be how it goes.
Yeah, it's pretty much how this felt. We're done at this point.
Yeah.
Enrique shows up. The dinosaur chases Enrique. Jimmy chases the dinosaur. More chasing. Enrique ends up getting on Jimmy's horse because Jimmy's trying to save him. Even though he's an asshole, he doesn't want the guy to die. And there's another shot from this movie I always remember is they find like a steep hill, and they try to ride down with the horse, and the horse falls over.
They tumble. Yeah.
They do.
And that horse absolutely did that. Like
I know. I was like, I wonder how planned that was.
I mean, it was the 50s, so it could have been planned, but that looked
Yeah, we'll just leave it in.
I feel like they were actually just trying to see if they could get down that hill, and it just didn't work out, and that horse just whoop. And I want to know how long that horse lived after that, because horses aren't meant to do that.
No. I was worried about the horse, and then Jimmy, he's like laying there on the ground, and both of them fall, laying on the ground. Jimmy's laying on the ground. Enrico gets up, stumbles around a few steps, and then falls over. And I wonder how planned that was. If he was just supposed to lay there, if he fell in the wrong spot, no idea.
Right.
The dinosaur also falls down the hill because it almost looks like the edge of like a gravel pile. It's just really loose sediment, like at an angle. This is where they go and hide. Okay, yes, this is this moment. They run off and hide in a cave.
Yeah.
Enrique and Jimmy hide in a cave. And I put in here Jurassic Park Lost World.
Yeah.
Because they're in the cave and like the Allosaurus is like reaching to try to grab them, and they're like hitting them with rocks, trying to get it to go away. And while this is happening, another posse rolls up, which is like the Don and like some of his guys, and Sarita rolls up, and they see like a dinosaur. You know, they never called a dinosaur.
Maybe they don't.
Nobody ever says it. Nobody calls it anything.
Just a monster, right?
Yeah, monster. Yeah, that's it. And like they're like reaching in here, and they see it, and then like the dinosaur's like, "Fuck this!" Just grabs Enrique, grabs him with his not thumb having hand, grabs this motherfucker out, and he's like flailing. And I think they start shooting on him. He just gets like thrown against the side of the fucking cave wall, and like
then he gets dragged back into the cave.
Yeah,
and he's like.
Bury me with my money. Yeah. And this guy Enrique gets bashed against a rock. Jimmy gets a horse again. He escapes. The dinosaur kind of runs off a little bit, starts following that other posse. Jimmy gets a horse. It seems disjointed, but this is just the ending cinematic. Most of your action is right here outside of like the brawl and shit earlier. So he gets a horse and antagonizes the dinosaur to follow him into the swamp. Because he's like, hey, I'm gonna get this bitch to swim. And you see the dinosaur starts following him. And actually, I think you see it earlier in the movie, or maybe this is now, where it starts putting his foot in the mud and starts getting back out. Yeah. You see a scene of the dinosaur stepping. I'm like, no, I don't. It knows better than to go into certain parts of the swamp. Well, he essentially wades out in the middle of the swamp and makes like a swing out of his rope. Mm-hmm. And he just swings back and forth and then like antagonizing the dinosaur, which conveniently like rips half his jacket off mid swings. and no, it's just like and eventually like teases the dinosaur and like harasses it enough where the dinosaur goes for him, hits the mud, and starts sinking in. And I put this note here because Angela told me about
I said
this is all Andrew. Go ahead.
I said, Artax, no.
And then Never Ending Story theme starts playing as the dinosaur sinks into the water. And my whole thought was while he's swinging on this rope was like he gets off. Like, they cut you from the team? No, I know it's not the same thing, but I wanted to make another Jurassic Park reference.
So according to Wikipedia, this is a tar pit. This wasn't water.
It's whatever.
But it's Wikipedia. They
call it a swamp or a marsh.
And also they call it a T-Rex.
It ain't no fucking T-Rex. Anyway, that's it. Like this ends like all other movies of this era where the dinosaur slowly sinks in the stop motion where the mud overtakes and then blood comes out for some reason.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like
in there eating him?
Maybe. He got shot a few times in the schnoz, but for the most part, the bullets didn't seem to do a whole lot to him, which I don't agree with. But beside the point. But no, he just sinks in and it's like, oh, it's over. Like all these other movies.
The end.
The end. Or I always put Finn in my notes. But I want to point out something about this movie that as I've watched a shit ton of these movies from this era, obviously. One thing this movie doesn't have is we don't have our scientist guy.
No.
We don't have our guy that knows what it is and explains it to everybody.
Because again, this was two different movies squished together.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't like, oh, so-and-so is a teacher from the college or whatever, from his university that he retired over here and he's going to tell. We didn't get any of that.
Could have also been from the time too. I don't know when this movie is technically set, but maybe it just wasn't that time. But also, again, like this 50 minutes of this movie is just cowboy love story, cowboy love triangle about cattle. And then it's like, oh yeah, wait, shit, we forgot there's supposed to be put the dinosaur in it. Like
this was my biggest problem watching this movie when I grew up. Like I have a VHS. I had a VHS. It had this, the giant behemoth. What was it? The monster that challenged the world, and like a third or a quarter of the giant claw. And there's a story for the giant claw whenever we cover that. But it was all in this VHS, and I remember watching. It was like my dad's like, I stayed up on Monster Vision and recorded monster movies for you because that's what we used to do back in the day. So I watched this movie and I was like, where's the fucking dinosaur? Like, I'm like, 8, 9, 10 years old, however old. I'm like, I'm here to watch the dinosaur. So
you said that at 8, 9 years old?
Yeah, I'm here to watch the fucking dinosaur, just like that.
Dad,
Dad's
where's
like,
the
watch your
fucking
mouth.
dinosaur?
Yeah, he's like, that's what I'm wondering. Now have some fucking ice cream. Wash your mouth out with some ice cream. So, what'd you say?
I said just don't drop the bowl.
No, my God. I'm not talking about the fucking bowl thing. Anyway, you have to have been there, guys.
I wasn't.
No, you weren't, but you fucking heard about it. But what did you, Parker, starting with you, what did you guys think of it? What did you think of this movie?
I mean, to be honest, this movie is not that bad. It's the fact that we get it, like the movie that they were making for almost the first hour was pretty interesting. It was pretty good. It was well done. I thought the acting was good. I thought the chemistry between all the actors and like you had that feud between Jimmy and Enrique and everybody. Yeah, I liked Pancho and Pachito, and the characters were good. And then, like, I mean, I messaged Angela after I saw this movie. I was just like, this is a fucking, what happened? Like, we get to the hour mark and the dinosaur shows up. I'm like, it literally does not it doesn't blend well together. It just cuts to a completely different movie. Now we're fighting a dinosaur. And it's like, forget everything that we showed you for the first hour because it does not matter anymore. It literally doesn't matter what you saw in that first hour because now we're fighting a dinosaur. And then it's over. And it's like,
yep.
What? Okay. So to be honest, if they just didn't have the dinosaur, I feel like this would have been a pretty good movie. I think the legend part would have been fine if they just talked about this legend, like people were disappearing, and then they kind of had some sort of mystery aspect to it. But the fact it's just like it's a dinosaur. It just threw me off and kind of brings the movie down for me. As much as I want a dinosaur, and this is a monster show, and I want to watch more monster movies, the monster just didn't make sense in this one.
I agree with Parker. Like, if you would have just taken the dinosaur out, it wouldn't have been a bad movie. Like, once you put the dinosaur in, I'm like,
oh,
okay. Shit. Like, okay, it's a movie. Like, that's how I felt after they put the dinosaur in, and I wanted, there to be some action. Not an hour into the movie.
Yeah, I would have loved it if they, when we get the whole poncho death scene where you don't see the dinosaur, but you see the feet and you know that there is a creature. I think if they had sprinkled that throughout, like not give us a full dinosaur reveal, but give us like seeing people like throughout the town, like disappearing, or you see like, oh, there's some cattle straggled near the swamp. Like they ran away from Jimmy's herd and they're over by the swamp and the dinosaur gets it in the first person view and stuff like that. So kind of give us the idea. Like, I mean, you go into the movie knowing there's a dinosaur, but it's the whole fact of like, we really don't get anything until 50 minutes into it. And then at least even with Jaws, you knew there was a shark. You just don't see the shark. You like, at least you have the idea in the back of your head. There's a shark killing people. And it's cool that I don't see it, but at least I have the idea in my head that there is a shark where it's like, I mean, to be honest, if this was like a blind going into this movie, I don't know this is a dinosaur movie. And then an hour later, I'm like, wait, what? Where did the dinosaur come from?
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
I will say this experience watching it this time, because I've watched it 2 other times in the past. The first time, and then a little ways back, but like not within the last 10 or 15 years. And I think this time was I actually enjoyed the first part of the movie. I used to hate it. Like, dude, I'm here for the fucking dinosaur, and all this is boring shit about cowboys and stuff, which I like cowboy stuff, but when I watch a dinosaur movie or monster movie, I want the fucking monster. And I'd say the beginning part of the viewing experience I enjoyed. I actually liked this movie way more. And these guys can attest, we did our wheel spin off the air, and this movie landed. And I was disappointed as fuck. I was like, oh shit. I remember hating this fucking movie, but liked it much better. And of course, I agree with all their sentiments. I wish we would have got more Felipe. I like his character. I like that actor a lot. I'd like to see him more in this movie. And which you don't really see him essentially after the stampede for the most part. You don't really see him do much of anything for the rest of the movie when the dinosaur shows up, which is a shame. I think Parker's right. I think if they would have just leaned into the legend aspect of it, and like it was just Enrique just abusing that, he's like just doing it for cattle, but then people are getting involved, so he has to kill people too, even though that wasn't his original intention. But he's like, I'm gonna have to do this because I want this shit to happen, and that be it. And then at the end, there actually is a dinosaur, but they pull the mask off it, and it's actually just Enrique inside the dinosaur, and it's just a Western Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I would have got away from it too. I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you, Felipe, and that meddling kid, and that horse too. And like, I don't know. No, I don't. I enjoyed it much.
The horse is Mr. Ed.
Yes, Mr. Ed versus the Beast from Hollow Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think the title is misleading. I just don't think. I think if Harryhausen or Willis O'Brien was involved in this, I think it would have been a much better film effects wise. But I think he would have needed to involved in the writing process and just smooth this out. Because like you said, most of these movies, like Jaws, like fucking anything, Jurassic Park, you get the breadcrumbs early on, the tease, like the scene where they're moving the raptors, or the what's her name swimming at the beginning of Jaws, or the one from this era, the general store scene from them, where he leaves his partner there and the wind's blowing, he gets killed by the ants off screen. All you hear is the noise and him fire, and that's it. Like, you don't get any of that. It's like the thing where Poncho died 45 minutes in should have happened at like the 10 or 15 minute mark of the movie with somebody else, just to remind you there's a monster in this movie.
Right.
But if you've never seen it, dude, it's you can watch it somewhere.
Watch it.
I watched it on Internet Archive. Well, I think we all watched it on Internet Archive. It's on there. I don't recommend buying it unless you really want to have it. But of the few films that fall into this genre, it's not as bad as I remember. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for coming in. I'm excited to do whatever we do next, and hopefully when I record that one, I'll be feeling better, and you won't have gotten anything, and Parker won't have gotten anything, and I'm excited for whatever monster movie we get next. So.
I ain't getting sick again.
No. Thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. I want to thank our awesome guy, Mr. Parker, for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for wife for putting up with this stuff.
Yeah.
And taking care of me and hold my hand. Give me my blankie and my orange juice.
Yeah. It'll be okay.
Anyway, thank you guys again, and we will see you on the next episode of The Monster Zone.
Goodbye.
Bye.